Hello and welcome to Holy News. I'm being lazy and not wearing the cutest outfit. Alright guys, what's going on? So today we are doing some more news. This is this week, October, or not October now, it's November 2nd, which is a Thursday currently. So we're doing that. Let's just jump right into it. First off, Extra Life. Extra Life is a charity fundraising organization that happens once a year. They'll usually stream for it more, like during the year, but the main event is actually happens once a year. It's this Saturday, so go check out your favorite streamer. I unfortunately will not be able to participate. I, have life obligations and all that, but it's a 24-hour charity streaming marathon for cancer. I think it's for Children's Miracle Network. Yes, Children's Miracle Network. Since its inception in 2008, Extra Life has raised more than $30 million for sick and injured kids. Yes, and the way that usually works is that, oh, I should probably also throw that up. The way that usually works is that all the streamers pretty much just take all the donations or bits or whatever for charity, or they use those and then donate them to charity or whatever. So Extra Life, I always feel it's a very big thing. I always feel it's really, like, it's one of those big video game fundraisers, kind of like AGDQ, like the speedrunning marathon. That's also another big charity live streaming thing. And this one, it's not as long as AGDQ, it's not like a week. This is only a single day, 24 hours, but still, go support your favorite streamers. Go donate some money. It all goes to cancer, it all goes to helping kids. Alright, The Last of Us 2. Yes, The Last of Us 2 has finally been released. Make sure that's muted. So The Last of Us 2 has finally been released. There's the trailer right here. It's from the new, I think, Paris Games show, Paris Games Awards, something like that, that happened recently. I haven't actually seen anything before this trailer, and this trailer is dark. I have to warn you, this trailer is dark. Right from the get-go, you'll just be able to see it. They're pretty much going to hang a girl and then beat some people and do a whole bunch of stuff. This game is very, very mature, very adult. Yeah, I don't know if the viewer discretion is advised, but essentially, from what it's looking like, there is an post-apocalyptic cult, doomsday cult maybe. She seems to be a leader or like one of the head people in it. There isn't really too much story, at least that I've read up about. But, I mean, the game looks beautiful. The game looks amazing. I mean, these look like real frickin' people. So, the reason that I even brought up Last of Us 2, which I'm not just putting in the new releases section, is because, well, one, it's also not released yet. This is coming in 2018. But the game got a lot of controversy along with a game called Detroit Become Human, because they showed scenes of graphic violence against women and children. I bring this up because in an interview, Jim Ryan, president of Sony Interactive Entertainment, said that The Last of Us is obviously a game made by adults and to be played by adults. So the whole thing that this was causing controversy was, of course, because the graphic depictions of violence and whatnot. It's also showing that games are becoming more, adult, if that makes sense. It's a game, as they say, game made by adult for adults. It shows that there's maybe like a bit of maturity going on with game developing and game creation and whatnot. I personally like this step because, nowadays video games aren't just catered to kids, In the 90s, like, video games were, oh, well, it's what kids play, or, it's what the lonely teenager does on the weekends or something like that. But now, with video games also becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry, it's become a mature thing for kids who, grew up in the 90s and 80s playing video games, and now it is blossomed into this whole big thing that encompasses not only the kid aspect, but also the adult aspect as well. And being able to say that we have a game like this where it's for adults, that shows that there's a maturity going on, and I'm really for it. I'm really enjoying it. It's going to probably be a very dark storyline. It's going to be probably a dark storyline, probably dark gameplay, if The Last of Us 1 had any indication. I mean, yes, like, The Last of Us 1 to an extent was kind of No, not really even. No, actually, The Last of Us 1 was pretty frickin' dark. I played it like a few years ago, so I barely remember a lot of it. Last of Us 2 looks like it's going to be just equally as dark or even darker, and I'm all for that. I personally want games with more like adult themes, adult tones, and much darker settings. I don't know, maybe that's just me getting older and becoming cynical. But either way, I'm all for it, and I'm really excited for it. Alright, let's talk about new games coming out. Yeah. Call of Duty World War II. This has been a game that was very, very anticipated, even for people who aren't necessarily Call of Duty fans. This comes out tomorrow, and I'm most likely going to be getting it because, okay, so back in the day, back when World at War came out, that was my favorite Call of Duty. Me and my buddy played probably straight weeks on that game's multiplayer. We absolutely loved it. I don't know, I'm not really a fan of the futuristic stuff. Kind of like how Battlefield 1 went back to more of like the World War II aspects. Call of Duty World War II I'm excited for, and I'm expecting it to be a very, very big hit. A lot of the bigger Call of Duty channels obviously have already said, you know, this game is amazing, it's the greatest Call of Duty ever, blah, blah, blah. But even people that aren't necessarily Call of Duty fans are saying that, you know, this game actually looks pretty good from the few times it's been showed at different game shows and played demos and whatnot. A lot of people are saying, you know, it feels really good, it's a good game, it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really excited for it. I'm just so excited for Call of Duty to get back into its World War I and II roots, which, like I said, futuristic, I don't know, leave that to like, futuristic, leave that to like Halo and Mass Effect. Also coming out is Bubsy, The Woolies Strike Back. Yes, if you don't know what Bubsy is, well, you're probably in the vast majority, because the last game came out in 1996. Yes, the last game came out 21 years ago? Jesus. So Bubsy back in the day was a very early side-scrolling platformer game that actually gave way to quite a few other games like later on in the genre. But this new one that's coming out is, you know, it's still the side-scrolling platformer, but it has updated graphics and all that fun stuff. The problem with that was that I was watching a video by Giant Bomb, and they were saying that the controls feel like it was a game made in 1996. The game is a giant collectathon, and there really isn't, like, much to the game, which I don't really know what to expect, you know? I'd never actually played Bubsy back in the day because I think it was for SNES? I think it was for Super Nintendo? I'm pretty sure. And I'm just not the biggest fan of side-scrolling platformers to begin with. I heard a lot of people talk nostalgically about Bubsy, but it's one of those games where it's like, you talk nostalgically, but realistically, you probably don't want to play it again. You know, if you're in my age group, like the mid-20s and early 30s, you probably don't want to go back to a lot of the games that you played when you were a kid, because nostalgia glasses have a great way of making us feel things that were, feel that certain things were much better than they actually are. And I went back and played Bubsy. Well, I played it for the first time about a year ago, and the game's just not good. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sure there are Bubsy fans, but the game's just not good. And supposedly this feels exactly like the original game, so yeah. I'm gonna have to say a no-go. Straight up no-go on this one. Here is one that I'm interested for, though. DotHack /G.U last recode. Yes, if you think that is just a complete garble of letters and numbers, it's because it kind of is. Well, no numbers in there, but punctuation. So the DotHack series was initially an anime. It was just called DotHack sign, and then there was like the DotHack something or else that had like the chibi versions of them. It was kind of cool, kind of weird. I remember getting the DotHack, the original anime, like on Christmas in like 2006, 2007, and I watched the whole series that entire day. It was so great. It only had like 26 episodes, but it was a really good anime. It was about it was kind of before SAO, definitely. It was definitely before SAO, and SAO kind of took a lot of the ideas from it. Sword Art Online is what I'm talking about. So pretty much people aren't necessarily trapped in this game world, but it's a giant MMO, and there is one person actually who is trapped in the game world. I think their name is Tsukasa? I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen the anime. But either way, it goes along following this party, and as well as some intermittent characters of things going on in this MMO, and you eventually see, you know, things like people like hacking and different things like that, and then the AI, the like game itself eventually goes rogue and like destroys the entire game world or something, like if I remember correctly. I don't know. It was one of those things that I'm sure if I watched it now I wouldn't be that big of a fan of. But it was the anime that kind of gave way to things like Log Horizon and Sword Art Online and all that stuff. It was one of the first MMO animes, and this was made right after those. Well, okay, so there was a full set of games that went along with the initial anime, and then they had a full set of games that went on after the anime, and that's DotHack GU. And what it was DotHack GU was, you're essentially, if I remember correctly, you're a player killer, or you're hunting a player killer. And what it is, it's something similar to Sword Art Online, where the people started actually killing players, and you're pretty much hunting down the people who were doing it. If I remember correctly, I only played the first one in this series, so I can't exactly recall. And once again, that was in 2006, maybe? So, over, what, 10 years ago? Oh god, I'm that old? Huh. But yeah, so I'm really excited for it. It's going to be a PS4 release. It has all 4 games in it. I'm very excited. If you like it's turn-based RPGs, yeah. If you like turn-based RPG in an MMO world environment, but not actually an MMO, you know, you don't have to actually play with people. It's just an RPG that looks like it's an MMO. Check it out. All right, now to stuff that interests me. Spelunky 2 has been announced. Spelunky 2. Yeah, so Spelunky 2, I'm really excited for. It's obviously the sequel to Spelunky, the smash hit dungeon explorer that actually, it really helped spawn the roguelike genre of the present day. Spelunky was one of the first roguelikes that came around in a more modern day. I think the initial one was released in, what, 2008, I think it was, as like a Flash game, and then they eventually did get Spelunky re-released on Steam and all that stuff. I'm just so excited for it. They don't actually show any gameplay in this video. It's just they're showing the I guess what your character is going to become. I guess you're the son of the person from Spelunky 1, and I'm going to assume that you go and explore the caverns and caves again. Next up is Shadow of the Colossus has a remake, yes, for PS4, and from what everyone was saying, the game still feels like the original Shadow of the Colossus. And in the actual video post on the blog on PlayStation, apparently the character's actual name is Wanda. That's what it said. I always thought it was Wanderer, but okay, there's new things that have popped up. But yeah, this is I'm really excited for this. Shadow of the Colossus 2 was one of the all-time, one of the, you know, quote-unquote best games of the PS2, where it was essentially just a boss hunter. There are no actual enemies in the game except for bosses. You run around and you kill these gigantic, fantastical, and mythical creatures by finding different weak points on them and whatnot. You crawl around on them and you stab into their weak points. You have like a little stamina bar and all that stuff. It's really cool. I'm excited. I haven't played Shadow of the Colossus since the PS2. No. There was a PS3 re-release, although I think I only played like 15-20 minutes of that. I don't remember if it was bad or if it was just, you know, not what I wanted. Either way, I really hope that Shadow of the Colossus does kind of reinvigorate everyone's feelings of boss games, because I really like the boss killing genre, because the only other games that I know of that really had this that was released somewhat recently, there was an indie game called Titan Souls. In Titan Souls, pretty much you wandered around this map and you found bosses. You had a bow with a single arrow that you could like call back to you, and you had to wait until the bosses were weak, hit their weak points, and kill them and all that. It was really fun. I was terrible at it. I never beat it, but I hope that more just straight boss killing games come out, because they're very different. They're very different, right? Like Shadow of the Colossus was I think it was way ahead of its time, because there realistically were no other games like it at the time. There were no enemies to grind on, there were no stats. It was, I mean, it was technically an RPG, but it was more of an action-adventure game than an actual RPG. You go around in this fantastical land killing these fantastical creatures to save your loved one. Hopefully, I'm not going to give away the ending because, oh boy, that ending, but it's definitely something you should pick up if you have a PS3. Go get the re-release. It's not an actual remake, it's like a port over onto the PS3. Go check it out, it's great. This one isn't really so much interesting, but apparently Assassin's Creed Origins Metacritic reviews were flooded with fake reviews. If we zoom in on the names and whatnot, you can tell that they're all just small little names, just random letters and numbers that pop up, and pretty much says almost the same thing. Way better than Assassin's Creed Unity, and Syndicate is more an actual, and Bayek is interesting character, and blah 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 blah. Pretty much it was just a big spam of a whole bunch of 10s, pretty much saying the exact same thing. And one of the Metacritic, the Metacritic boss actually said it's not a frequent occurrence. It only happens to maybe 2 or 3 games a year. So, I don't know. I find it kind of funny more than anything. I don't know if that says anything about the game. Like, I don't know if that says that the game is good, the game is bad. But, I mean, it's weird. It's funny. It's kind of odd. I mean, I'm pretty sure someone just wrote like a little botting program and then just kept churning out the reviews, which it's making the reviews go back up. But I don't know. It's kind of dumb more than anything. So Monster Hunter World is coming out pretty soon. It's going to be the first real multiplayer not Harvest Moon. Harvest Moon, yeah. Yeah, the first real multiplayer Harvest Moon where you kill monsters and stuff. No, Monster Hunter World. It's going to be, or no, it's not going to be the first multiplayer one. What am I talking about? 3DS had that, and I think the Wii had that beforehand. No, but it's going to be the first Monster Hunter on the current gen systems, the PS4. So, the GameSpot did an interview with the series producer, and they asked them what they feel about loot boxes, because many different games, especially single-player experiences now, are getting loot boxes, you know, Assassin's Creed Origin, Shadow of War, etc., etc. Ryozo Tsujimoto said that, I think that Monster Hunter's already built that kind of randomized item reward in gameplay. Whenever you carve a monster after a hunt, you don't know what you're going to get within a certain range. You've got certain rare parts that you almost never get, you got some of the ones that you don't need, and you get a lot of, and then there are rewards for the quests as well. There are some rewards that are standard, there are some that are randomized, a bit bigger, a bit smaller, getting the chance of them. He explained Monster Hunter World doesn't need this kind of system. You already kind of get that loot as a core gameplay aspect without having to shove microtransaction version of it in. So they also said, you know, what about saving the player's time? And our focus is on wanting the players to play our action game and feel the kind of satisfaction that comes with the achievement you get with completing a hunt and getting rewards. We want people to have the experience that we've made for them rather than the option to skip the experience. So I think that's kind of cool, because the devs are pretty much saying like, no, like we don't really need a cash grab, and everything is already in there. And it also kind of made an interesting point, because they said, you know, saving the player's time. I feel that, as much as I hate to say it, like, I feel that a lot of gamers nowadays are really entitled, you know, because, well, I could grind for, you know, 5 hours to get this, or I could just spend 10 bucks, get loot crates, or, you know, DLC or microtransactions, and I just get everything that I want anyways. Me personally, like, I've only ever used microtransactions on a few different things, and I feel like it kind of invalidates a lot of the game. Like, I'm playing the game to get those things. Or I could just spend my real money and then just kill, you know, like 60 to 70% of the gameplay and then just get what I want. Which, I understand the whole time thing, like wasting players' time. But video games are also supposed to be a time killer. Supposed to be a thing to get away from the real world. So the whole fact of like, that we're even asking the question, will this waste the player's time? Or can we save the player's time? I feel that's kind of a wrong question to answer. That's like a bad question to question. I feel that feels more of someone being entitled, like, well, yeah, I mean, I spent 60 bucks on your game. Aren't you just gonna give me the stuff? Why do I have to play it? Like, I feel that the producer has said, you know, everything's already in the game. You just have to play the game to get things. That'd be like if I started up a game of Skyrim and it was like, well, you know, you can play through the game to get these shouts and dragon souls, or you can just pay $5 to get all of them. Well, then what the hell's the point of playing the game? I understand for like the crafting aspects and grinding multiple hours to try and get things, but that's what MMOs do. I mean, look at WoW. Look at how much time people have spent grinding in WoW, or what other MMOs? Final Fantasy XIV, the only MMO that I've played in recent years. But, you know, grinding is kind of part of the game, and I feel that we shouldn't really, especially in single-player games, we shouldn't put loot boxes in for things like this, where it was like Assassin's Creed and Shadow of War. You know, there's not as much crafting, there's not as much RNG with stuff, but with something like Monster Hunter, where like literally the whole game is go out, hunt monsters to get the materials to make bigger and better weapons and armor, to go hunt monsters, to go get the material, blah blah blah, etc., etc. I don't know, I feel like it's kind of entitlement for gamers more than anything. This one's more quick than anything, but apparently the Xbox One X will output at 1440p natively, so I kind of find it's interesting that they went from 1080p and they didn't just make the jump straight to 4K, which thank God, because I don't have a 4K monitor. I'm also not spending the money to get an Xbox One X. I don't even use my Xbox One as it is, so what's even the point of that? But I also don't have a 4K display, and I don't have a 1440p display, so I feel it's kind of pointless to even, you know, to even buy one. But it is nice that, you know, people are getting those much more, I guess, affordable than they were a year or two ago, which is the same thing with everything. Like when plasma TVs first came out, they were like 10 grand, and then after like 2-3 years, they dropped to like 2 grand. So as the things become made more and more frequently, and as time goes by, we'll be able to get things for cheaper. And it's cool that the Xbox One X is jumping on that bandwagon right from the get-go. However, I'm not going to be participating in that. There are barely any titles on the Xbox One that I even want to play, let alone warranting me spending the money for a new display and a new console. That works just the same. Okay, it's more powerful. Great. My PC is still more powerful than it. Next up, we're taking a look at a game it's been teased off and on for the past, I think, year or two now. Kingdom Come Deliverance, and it's an authentic open-world RPG, according to a PlayStation vlog. There are 6 different reasons that people should be excited for it, according to PlayStation. The attention to detail, as you can see right there. That is the in-game. The left is the in-game engine, and the right is the original. They are making the game very true to life, very good looking. But yeah, the attention to detail that they're doing is like, you know, keeping the architecture exact as it was then. Apparently the game takes place in the 15th century of Bohemia, which is located in the heart of Europe. I have no idea where Bohemia even was, or if that's even a real nation. But it's going to look beautiful. There's going to be realistic medieval combat, which I think is going to be somewhat in the nature of like Mountain Blade, maybe? The blog says, easy to learn, hard to master comes to mind when players pick up a sword, club, or spike and face enemies in this detailed combat system. They're using state-of-the-art motion capture and painstakingly designed a battery of realistic weapons for befitting the action of the scene, which they apparently used experienced sword fighters and whatnot. So that's really cool that there's actually going to be realistic combat, which is better than, you know, Skyrim / dead. Which is cool. I'm excited for it, but I'm still, I don't know, I'm really on the fence about this game, because on the one hand, like, it's going to be this vast, giant, realistic medieval RPG, but on the other hand, I'm sitting here like, do I have the time to dump into a vast, realistic medieval RPG? That's up to, that's, you know, that is based on everyone's personal opinions. There's also an immersive story based on real history. The year's 1403, Bohemia, rich in culture with silver sprawling cities. The king is dead. His eldest son takes his place on the throne. Players are thrown into the heat of an escalating conflict. Okay, cool. All right, that sounds about standard for medieval. Many paths lead to victory, but consequences must be faced. Players need to have an eye on their reputation, how their actions influence the people around them. Fighting, stealing, seducing, threatening, persuading, or bribing are ways to go, but the question remains, how will the players want to be remembered? which I guess there's going to be maybe some type of like influence or morality system, reputation system, which will be kind of cool. Freedom to explore. Players can freely enjoy the huge constructed map of medieval Bohemia. Enter villages and interact with the locals. The dark and deep forest might tease players with beauty, but hold true danger. So it's going to, if it's going to be realistic, I'm going to assume that there's no fantastical creatures in it, so you're not going to be fighting like werewolves or vampires or anything like that. You probably have to deal with bandits, and they'll probably be able to fight much better than you, at least in the beginning. But I'm assuming this is going to be one of those games kind of like, oh, what was it? What was the game that came out like a year ago that already fell flat on its face? The thing with the three different warriors, like the samurai, the Viking, and the whatnot. Yeah, I can't remember it because I didn't even play the game. I'm hoping this game doesn't, it doesn't fall flat on its face. It's also going to be a single player game, so thank God we're not going to have to deal with multiplayer. Wait, actually, no, immersive players, blah, 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 blah. Actually, no, I'm pretty sure it's a single-player game. I'm almost positive. Yeah, I'm almost positive it's a single-player game. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'll probably get it, and I'll probably touch on it, but I'm definitely not going to, I'm not going to 100% it. That's definitely for someone who has way more time than I do, and likes combat systems way more than I do, because I probably, Dark Souls is probably the most out of the combat that I'm going to ever try and learn, and realistically, that's just dodge rolling, so it's whatever. If you like medieval RPGs, though, then I say go for it. And the final thing that I thought was a little bit more cheeky than anything, yeah. So EANexon is going to be making a new project, and it was actually already released. It's just FIFA Online 4, which is cool, I guess. I've never been a sports game fan. I'm not a sports fan, period. I realistically don't know how to play sports games. Do you, like, control the play, or do you control the individual player, or what do you do? Like, do you get points off if you deviate from the play that you initially set? I don't know. But either way, Nexon is essentially the Korean version of EA in that Nexon likes microtransactions. There was an MMO 2 or 3 years ago that came out called Arcade, and it was really, it had a lot of hype. It was slated to be incredible, and while like the demo, or not the demo, but the beta was initially really great. I loved the game. As soon as the game actually started, microtransactions abound everywhere, and from what I'm told, it's not really gotten any better. And EA, of course, we already know. EA is just the content titan that we have over in the West, and I don't even really need to say anything about EA. Everyone already knows. Electronic Arts, not early access. I guess, yeah, that is two of the same, whatever, two of the same. But no, EANexon MMO, although it's not really an MMO, but it is an MMO, but it's an online sports game. I'm not even going to think about this as soon as this video is done. I'm not going to touch it at all. Alright, so thank you. There you go. That is your news for this week. I tried to find things that were a little bit more, like, a little bit more popular, but also not incredibly popular. And, I don't know, I find stuff that's interesting. I didn't really have that much time. I've really just been looking over it the past, like, hour or two, just, browsing all the news sites and whatnot. But I really did want to do, like, a comic review at the end of this, but I still haven't gotten any freaking time to read any comics, so it's one of those things where, oh well, we'll eventually put something at the end of this video. I don't know what, but we'll eventually put something. I mean, we could probably put the new releases at the end. I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel about that. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you like the video, the like button helps you a bunch. Subscribe. Yes, if you want to see more of that, don't forget to subscribe. Anyways, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.